is trying to take away your rights to bargain for better wages and working together.
President Barack Obama yesterday in Detroit, they fired up Air Force One, gassed it up, and flew to Detroit to say that. And before, of course, he got to Detroit Diesel there to give his speech, he landed at Metro Airport, and I understand it, met with Governor Snyder. I think the plan was to be in the car together, if I'm not mistaken. The governor of the state of Michigan, Rick Snyder, with us right now. Welcome back to the program.
Nice to be with you, Michael Patrick.
Thank you. Did you greeted the president at the airport, and then did you ride along with him to Detroit?
Actually, I met with him at the company when we got to Detroit Diesel.
Oh, you
I
did?
had a conversation with him there.
How did it go, and what did you talk about, if you don't mind telling us?
Oh, we covered a number of items. In terms of the specifics, we talked about a number of other issues not related to this one, in addition to the issue you'd expect, right to work, but we talked about a number of other things.
When you get together with him like that, first of all, I presume it's cordial at the beginning. Obviously, you're on different sides of almost all the issues. But what is it like to talk with him personally, and who sort of drives the conversation? Well,
it's a dialogue. We both have things to discuss, and we went through several items and set our positions, and a number of them, I think there's some common ground to work on them. And then we had some items we disagreed on, such as the right to work issue, freedom to choose.
When you're in how long does a conversation like that go?
Well, it's fairly short. You're talking anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, typically.
And when you get to items that you disagree about, do you disagree in an agreeable fashion when you're talking to the president? What's the tenor like?
Yeah, well, again, it's a question of I respect the office of presidency. We all should. And as a practical matter, we have a common group of citizens, customers we're trying to represent. So my philosophy is that I'm not there to fight with anyone in the public sector, whether they're at the federal level, state level, or local level. Because fighting doesn't do any good. I'm there to say, how do we best represent and take care of our citizens, the customers we have in common? And that's a good approach, and it works really well for me.
Is it interesting for you, having not been elected to anything until you were governor, to the next thing you know, you find yourself sitting with the President of the United States? I mean, to me, that's, no matter who you are, it's an interesting...
Yeah, no, it's something that you normally wouldn't think when you... started your career or during much of life, you'd be in a situation like that. And when it comes, though, you just go for it and say, how do you achieve the best goals? In this context, how can I do the best for the citizens of Michigan, or my customers?
What do you think he came away with that was important to you? What did he take back to D.C. with him?
Well, I think there are some common ground areas that we can actually work together on. A couple of things I did talk about is there more flexibility in federal programs, that we could do more outcome-based measures like we do, where we put up metrics and measure results, and have fewer programs where we can work on delivering better results for our citizens, and say like child services or workforce development.
You had a heck of a day yesterday. You also met with the Congressional Democrats, as I understand it, including Senator Carl Levin, who's kind of an intimidating guy in his own right. And so you got an earful of it from these guys yesterday about right to work. What was that meeting like?
Well, again, that was respectful. As a practical matter, yeah, I had a day where I believe it's important to be open to people, and people want to meet and talk on this subject, so I listened to what they had to say, and we didn't have an agreement on many of the points involved in the process, but we had a respectful discussion, and I appreciate that, because an important part of being a good leader is listening, to listen to what people have to say, and then making a decision. And this is a case where, a lot of thought had been given already, but it's always good to hear people's points and see if there's other things you missed or you can reevaluate. But I feel strongly this is a good move for Michigan. This is about worker choice. This is about giving workers the opportunity to make a decision about their future. And then the other one is this will bring more and better jobs to Michigan in terms of the freedom to choice legislation.
I want to get to that in just a second, but I also, when you sit across, these are some real political war horses: Carl Levin, John Dingell, John Conyers, for that matter. I mean, do you get into a debate with them in that situation, or you just let them talk and smile and nod and say, duly noted, nice to see you?
Well, there's some discussion. Obviously, it's important to have some dialogue, but it was mainly a listening meeting because, again, they asked for the meeting, they wanted to share their thoughts, and I took it that way, so I listened to what they had to say.
Did Carl Levin has glasses down the end of his nose and give you that sort of intense stare that he gives people when he's in those Senate committees?
Well, Carl Levin's done public service for a very long time, and so he's an experienced person, and I respect him, and so I listened to what he had to say.
Then you had, I understand you went to a restaurant to receive an award. There were protesters there singing at you, although from what I read, you didn't have to get close to them or anything like that. And they were at your neighborhood again yesterday in Ann Arbor. Most people consider, I think, protesting at someone's house definitely out of bounds. Did you notice them when you went home?
I was still at the event in southwestern Detroit when they showed up at my house. But, yeah, that's one of the things that you wonder where the appropriate boundaries are, and I think it's unfortunate. But, again, that's part of doing this job, that I'm going to stay focused on what's best for Michiganders. And, yeah, in this right-to-work scenario, it is about being pro-worker and stepping up for workers and really giving them the freedom to choose.
You are a data-driven fella. I'm looking at a study here by the University of Notre Dame that found that average wages and benefits in right-to-work states were lower than the ones where they have, the union representation. How do you explain that?
Well, a couple of things. One is if you do a cost of living adjustment, because the cost of living is lower there, they're actually net benefits are higher in those states. There are studies that say that, too. There are many studies out there. Mm-hmm. The other part is to recognize in most of these states, it's only a smaller percentage of the workforce is actually unionized. As a practical matter in Michigan, to give you an illustration, over 80% of the workforce, this is an issue. They're not even unionized, and that's one reason I felt I didn't have it on my agenda for a long time, because it was applying to a smaller segment. We had more important things to do, like tax reform, budget reform. And again, when you look at high-wage jobs for they're being created, for example, we're the third fastest-growing state, for high-tech jobs. That the vast majority of those jobs are never going to be union jobs, but they're well-paying, good jobs coming to the state of Michigan.
17.5% of workers in Michigan unionized. Nationwide, it's only 11.8%, so the point is very well taken. Very quickly, how serious were those negotiations between you and the union when they came to visit you last week and tried to convince you and the Speaker and the Senate Majority Leader not to go forward?
Oh, they're very serious. And I appreciate people coming to the table and really trying to have a thoughtful discussion on options. It didn't work out, but as a practical matter, it was a constructive exercise to go through and worthwhile because, again, were there other options and alternatives, people should talk about those things. It's just much like I was doing listening yesterday.